Nothing has ever gone wrong in your life. You have never done anything wrong. You've never made a mistake. You've never failed at anything. And you're incredibly abundant. And those are all the things that I know are true about you. And that's what I wanted to tell you today. Yesterday, last night, I was sitting and I heard, "We can't do much more without your help." And that was my higher self speaking to me as yours does as well. And that help means that we are supposed to do something. We're supposed to become more. And you may be feeling that in your life right now. You might be a little confused. You might be thinking that you're being pushed to do something you don't understand. Or you might be looking at the world and you're thinking, oh, wow, everything is falling apart and I'm doomed. Or the world is doomed, and none of those things are true either. It's just waiting for you to become who you could be. It's just waiting for you to take the next step on your evolutionary journey to become your greater self. That's all that ever happens. We just takes a while for us to understand that. It took a while for me to understand that, which is why I'm supposed to talk about it now. I had an interview that was just released yesterday, I believe. It's on YouTube and Facebook, and it was quite interesting because I went through a bit of my life to tell this crazy story about how I brought in a philosophy that could have any person live this wonderful life and really create the kind of magic for themselves that they should have. And it's because that's the life that I lived. I lived a life to become this mystic, a prophet, and a sage to bring in work that was going to help our world during this time of transition, which Wilhelm has called um, our restructuring. But let me talk about that a little more because I've done several presentations because I wanted you to understand the science of it. I know that a lot of times when people think about channeling or spiritual things and all that, it's just like, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. But when you can put it together and have some science behind it, because there are many who have discovered that, you will find that great philosophers and those folks, especially when they do more of their work, they start to come to this understanding that there's far more to us than we know in this physical form, and that is in our consciousness. And we all have the ability to raise it when we choose to. Now, and that's what happens in our world as well. We each make decisions. Are we going to go to that higher level of understanding that is within us so that we can live our great lives? Because, see, that's when you're moving to your authentic self. And everyone asks, well, why is that important? Well, your authentic self is why you were born. Now, you may not get there right away because you might resist it. I've done that, so I do understand it, which is, again, why I'm supposed to tell you, you don't have to do that anymore. We've moved into a little different place in our world. Everything is about energy. We are affected by the energies of our planets and the galaxies, and they're changing. And I just happened to be in touch with what was happening, and that was actually a little more challenging because to understand it and to try to explain it to others was really my difficulty for the longest time. But I'm doing much more of that now because it's important. We're moving through a dynamic change, and there's time for more of us to become joyful, to become happy, and to fall in love with ourselves. And that is what this philosophy has given me, because it says that every single person is born with this worth and value and purpose, and they're in the world now because if they were to actualize that, we would see a very different world coming about. We would see things happening that we couldn't even imagine. But the only thing that happens is that we have doubt. We have self-doubt with it ourselves, and then we pass it on to everyone else. And I've done that as well. Because we're unique. We're supposed to be unique. You came into the world to do something completely different than anyone else. It's not going to look like your family. It's not going to look like your spouse or your relation. It's none of that. It's you because it's your soul. It's why you're on the earth at this time. So when I heard that saying, I said, okay, I'm supposed to get up and write something now. And because I want to show synchronicity again, because see, that's a little more science. When we understand that the universe revolves in different ways and changes in different ways, and those energetic actions are affecting us. Yeah, because we're energy as well. And then you start to understand that you heal when you start to learn how to use your energy in a particular way because you start to align with the universe. That's what happens for those who choose to do it. But what I decided to do today, after I put down those messages, I'm going to read them all today. I have not done that because just four of them. Well, it's a few more because they put several in there. And why I'm saying this is that you will see something, you will hear something, let's say, and that is the synchronicity of the messages. And each time you hear one, well, the dates will be important. You'll see that because we live in this linear time. We think things happen this way. We've come to understand in science that's not really what's going on. Everything's happening in this moment of now, but that's challenging for us to believe or live in most of the time. But when we can, we experience this inner peace, and that inner peace is going to be reflected into your life and into the world. See, and that I know as well because that's how I healed, and this is the work that I'm giving to everyone else. But I want you to understand these. When you hear these messages, you will understand so much more. Just know that we always move through periods in our lives and in the world where we go through bumps, where we go through difficulties to try to come to become more whole. That's what we're doing individually, and that's what the world is attempting to do. But as the message says, it can't do that without you, meaning that you came to offer something, and if you were to do it, then things would change in your life and in our world. And the biggest person that has to do that is me. But you will appreciate this so much. But thank you for being here. And if it's your first time, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others. I'm going to have this go out a little bit more. I'm saying that because you will see there are not many views on my channel because I've held back because I needed to know everything that I was doing. That's just who I've been. I want to know that this works. This gives people what they want. And when I heard that this information is basically self-development, personal development, self-actualization, and ascension, it's all together. And you will see that that is true because you'll start to feel yourself moving to a higher state of understanding and consciousness within yourself because you are that important and that's why you're in the world now. And the only difficulty you will ever have is that you won't believe that. But that's, again, part of the process of moving through those barriers to accept who you are and the brilliance that is within you. And I can say this because I've never found a single person where I couldn't see that. That's why I put out a message many years ago where I said, I can't see anything wrong with you. And that is absolutely true because when you reach this higher place of understanding, you can see everyone else's challenges and difficulties, probably even much easier than you can see your own. That was true for me. But I'm telling you that you exist to create something wonderful in your life and in our world at this time. And that's why you're feeling everything you've been feeling. You've been nervous. You've been afraid of taking the next step, whatever it might have been. You are in the right place in your life today, and you might take action on it. September 7th, 2024. We can't do much more without your help. As you examine your world and your lives and begin to notice things you are displeased with, we would like you to look at yourselves. This might seem a bit harsh, but it's a crucial step for your personal growth, especially for our messenger. Every soul comes to the physical plane with innate gifts and talents it wants to expand. As they do so, they complete a vital part of their soul mission, and the evolution of your world increases exponentially. We have said we have given you an ascension guide and have attempted to spur your belief through all the messages we've provided in succession, hoping you would embody more of it by now. However, you require a bit more human proof before you allow the spiritual guidance we told our messenger we would provide. We demonstrated the results of our work through him physically, mentally, and most importantly, spiritually, to be an example for all. But he too has not taken his next step, as he has formed the habit of ignoring his worth and value, as many of you have. That was the reason for your restructuring, as we have mentioned. The energetic shifts in your world today compelled us to give you a boost, or more appropriately, a pep talk to move to your highest state of consciousness. Again, we will use linear time and synchronicity because we love using science. Science always gives some humans more belief, but to others, it awakens their skepticism. The good news is you get to choose. We are asking our messenger to include 4 messages here. As you read them, you will better understand the process of raising your consciousness. If you read them daily, you will accelerate your progress. But after today, we want you to take the next step. Love yourself a bit more and do what you came here to do. We would be grateful, but you would be euphoric. Our messenger will be more of an example after today, but so will you. September 7th, 2020. It was only you who ever doubted your power. We had so many different titles we might have used for this message. Still, we had to choose one, or Roger would never begin because we were giving him quite a bit, and because it caused him to feel uncomfortable making these admissions, but he also felt his duty to do so. Some time ago, we related the story of Roger and his thermostat, where he would think the temperature needed to be different and make his way to make the change. And magically, the thermostat makes the change on its own. Each time, mostly when the incidents occurred in succession, Roger became startled and questioned whether he could have caused that. Yesterday, Roger's roommate returned home, and on 2 separate occasions, Roger was about to call him, and the phone rang. And here again, Roger questioned whether or not he could have manifested that. Then Roger decided to plan a webinar that had one intention when he thought about what he would do. And then last night, Roger recognized it had turned into something more. And of course, he had the same question. You each will begin to discover that you have always held power, ability, and manifesting powers, but you always question them, just like Roger. Due to your world's conditions, you will awaken more of your capabilities because you are motivated by your current conditions. The reason you have doubted your power is that it is a natural part of evolution and you are doing it continually. So please don't beat yourself up, but make a conscious decision to use the power you have unleashed so far in your life. September 7th, 2021. It was only your lack of belief. This morning, when Roger awakened, we told him to search our messages for the word justice. He found one communication from 2013, which we advised him not to read and simply post that message after what we are providing now. The reason we are doing that is that he, just like you have done, moved through your lives doubting what you thought you were meant to do in this life, or you came to believe that you were not the one to do so, or you again falsely believed that your time had passed, and that is never true. The opening statement is one you will each come to realize in your life experience, and we will continue to help with examples such as this. We wanted you to see the following message, for it will apply to your life, that of your world, and why you wanted to live during this restructuring, which we told you your most crucial lifetime. And the essence of who you are was never more needed by your world than now. You will be fine. July 14th, 2013. You are never seeking justice, for you are constantly seeking understanding. The idea of justice is based on what you believe to be principles of right and wrong. And right and wrong do not exist in ultimate reality. This is one of the most difficult concepts to accept. All events occur with a purpose and meaning, and the purpose and meaning are always to cause you and your world at large to become more or expand. You can find evidence of this in your personal history as well as that of your world. When you think of any particular past injustice, as you may label it, the result was always to cause some expansion. You are always living with a limited awareness as long as you are in physical form, which is why you cannot truly know the issues of right and wrong. What you always desire is understanding, for that provides you with your own personal motivation to do something to become more, which is the expansion you sought when you came onto the physical plane. September 7th, 2022. We hope you can hear us now. You are at a place in your life where you could make the most significant contribution to your evolution and that of your world. We began saying 2 years ago that you would be moving through what we have called restructuring. Others have named it the Great Awakening or the Big Shift. Whatever human terminology you choose, please pick one that causes you to feel good. Your job during this period was to love yourself and fulfill your dreams. You are here to move through the restrictions and limitations you have allowed in this lifetime, which will also do the same for your ancestors who left things in your hands. It is how your civilization has continuously operated. You have never experienced a period such as this. Still, many of you do understand what is occurring, and the pressure you felt that you could not explain was the stranglehold you've placed on yourself by not becoming your authentic self. That is what is attempting to burst through. As we told you in 2012, you progress in increments, and that is individually and collectively. You exist to help manifest a beautiful new world, and you will contribute by deciding to love yourself and become as happy and prosperous as you desire as long as you feel good. We provided on this message that will apply to all to you all, but especially Roger. He has generally accepted that we provided him with a valuable gift in 2012 and that we said we would use specific dates to indicate synchronicity, but still, he had to check. In other words, you will doubt yourself now, but if you follow through, you will end the doubt. That was meant for you all, as you each have your divine plans unfolding now, but you also had doubts. It has only been your resistance. September 12th, September 7th, 2012. Surrender does not necessarily mean defeat, but can indicate strength and courage. Surrender, as it is being used here, refers more to events and situations in your physical life experience rather than people. While others may be involved, it is more valuable for you to look at the situation or event merely. When you become willing to surrender to it, it also means that you are demonstrating a knowing that says all things that show up for you have meaning and purpose, and in some manner only do so for your highest good. When you surrender, you also release any resistance and find more peace. When you surrender, you are accepting yourself and your entire life experience. September 7th, 2023. Self-judgment will be your most significant obstacle. When you come onto the physical plane, you have little awareness of what your life adventures may offer you. You also have little knowledge of what your world may present to you. When you remember that you are connected to all that is, and in this lifetime, your goal is to expand and aid in the planetary ascension, the message we provided 10 years ago on this date will aid you. The remedy for self-judgment is self-love, which you and your planet are achieving now. That requires you to release your self-judgment, and then you will give that permission to others. September 7th, 2013. Compassion is a word you would do well to look up and study its meaning. Compassion is also the active pursuit of expansion. You can't expand as you intended without also seeking to develop your level of compassion. Compassion and judgment cannot coexist. Judgment is the greatest hindrance to your expansion. When you hold judgment of another, it means you are holding that judgment about yourself, and you have yet to understand the perfection within the one you are judging. You have often judged yourself for having too much compassion and interpreted it as a sign of weakness in some way. Nothing could be further from the truth. All your religious studies have spoken of the value of compassion, and with your earnest attempt to study it, you will understand why. This is also a reason that maturity often causes compassion to develop. Wilhelm.